In a cozy, sunlit kitchen, an 8-year-old boy named Billy sat at the wooden table, his face scrunched up in a mix of disgust and frustration. His plate was piled high with a colorful assortment of vegetables: bright orange carrots, vibrant green spinach, and a chunky piece of pumpkin. Billy's short brown hair stuck up in all directions, and his green t-shirt and blue jeans seemed to echo his unwillingness to eat the healthy fare in front of him. "Come on, Billy," his grandmother, a kind elderly woman with gray hair and a neat bun, urged gently. She wore a floral dress and an apron, her eyes filled with a mix of concern and patience. "These vegetables are good for you. They'll make you strong and healthy." Billy's nose wrinkled even more. "But Grandma, they look so yucky," he complained, pushing the plate away with a sulky pout. Grandma sighed, her kind face softening. She had always been a master in the kitchen, known for her delicious cakes and pies, but even her culinary prowess couldn't change Billy's mind about vegetables. She thought for a moment, her eyes twinkling with a mischievous idea. "You know, Billy," she said, leaning in a bit closer, "I have a secret recipe that might just change your mind about vegetables." Billy's curiosity was piqued. "A secret recipe?" he asked, his eyes widening. "What is it, Grandma?" Grandma smiled, a twinkle in her eye. "It's a special cake, but I'll tell you more about it later. For now, just try a little of these vegetables, okay?" Billy hesitated, but, seeing the hopeful look in his grandmother's eyes, he reluctantly picked up a tiny piece of carrot. He nibbled on it hesitantly, making a face as he chewed. "Okay, Grandma," he mumbled. "I tried it. Now can I have a snack?" Grandma chuckled. "Of course, my dear. But remember, the real treat is coming soon." With a sense of anticipation, Billy watched as Grandma began to gather her baking tools, a bowl, a spoon, and a variety of ingredients. Little did he know, this was the beginning of a journey that would change his perspective on vegetables forever. Once Billy was occupied with a book on the living room sofa, Grandma slipped quietly into the kitchen. The cozy space was filled with the warm glow of the afternoon sun, casting a golden hue over the wooden table and the soft, pastel colors of the walls. She pulled out a large mixing bowl, a wooden spoon, and a variety of ingredients from the pantry. But the most important items were hidden in a small, secret drawer: a bag of finely chopped carrots, a jar of pureed pumpkin, and a handful of spinach leaves. Grandma's hands moved with practiced ease as she began to prepare the secret ingredients. She carefully chopped the carrots into tiny pieces, the sound of the knife on the cutting board rhythmic and soothing. Next, she scooped out the pumpkin puree and measured out a generous amount. The spinach leaves were washed, dried, and then finely minced, their vibrant green color adding a splash of freshness to the mix. As she worked, Grandma's mind wandered back to her own childhood. She remembered her mother, a woman of few words but many wise actions, who had always found creative ways to get her and her siblings to eat their vegetables. One of her mother's favorite tricks was to hide vegetables in their favorite dishes, and Grandma had learned the art well. She mixed the chopped carrots, pumpkin puree, and spinach into the cake batter, stirring it until the ingredients were well combined. The batter took on a slightly darker hue, but it still looked smooth and inviting. Grandma smiled to herself, knowing that the secret was well hidden. Just as she was about to pour the batter into the cake pan, she heard the sound of footsteps. Billy had wandered back into the kitchen, his curiosity getting the better of him. "Grandma, what are you making?" he asked, his eyes wide with excitement. Grandma looked up and smiled warmly. "I'm making a special cake, Billy. It's a secret recipe that's been in our family for generations." Billy's eyes lit up. "Can I help?" he asked, his earlier reluctance forgotten. "Of course you can," Grandma said, pulling out a small bowl and a spoon. "Why don't you help me measure out the sugar and mix it into the batter?" Billy eagerly agreed, his face breaking into a grin. As they worked together, the kitchen filled with the sweet aroma of the cake batter, mingling with the subtle scent of the hidden vegetables. Grandma's plan was well underway, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. This was more than just a cake. It was a way to show Billy that vegetables could be delicious and fun. As the cake began to bake in the oven, the kitchen filled with a delightful aroma that seemed to permeate every corner of the house. Billy, who had been playing with his toy cars on the floor, suddenly paused and sniffed the air. His eyes widened as the sweet, warm scent of the cake reached his nose. "Grandma, what's that smell?" he asked, jumping to his feet and running to the kitchen. Grandma, who was washing a few dishes at the sink, turned around with a warm smile. "That's the special cake I'm making, Billy. It's almost ready." Billy's face lit up with excitement. "Can I have a taste?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. Grandma chuckled and ruffled his hair. "Not yet, my dear. We have to wait until it's done and cooled down. But I promise it will be worth the wait." Billy nodded, his curiosity piqued. He watched as Grandma checked the cake with a toothpick, her expression one of satisfaction as it came out clean. "It's ready," she announced, her voice filled with excitement. She carefully took the cake out of the oven, steam rising enticingly. The cake was a beautiful golden brown, and the aroma was almost overwhelming. Billy's mouth watered as he watched Grandma place the cake on a cooling rack. "Can I help decorate it?" Billy asked, his eyes shining with eagerness. "Of course, you can," Grandma said, pulling out a container of frosting and a small bag of sprinkles. "Why don't you help me spread the frosting and add the sprinkles?" Billy's face broke into a wide grin as he eagerly grabbed a spatula. Together, they worked on the cake, spreading the creamy frosting and adding a colorful array of sprinkles. The kitchen was filled with the sound of their laughter and the gentle clinking of dishes as they prepared for the grand reveal. As the cake was finally set on the dining table, Billy couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. "It looks amazing, Grandma," he exclaimed, his eyes wide with admiration. Grandma smiled, her heart swelling with love. "It's all thanks to you, my dear. Now, why don't we have a slice and see how it tastes?" Billy's excitement was palpable as he eagerly took his seat at the table, fork in hand. He couldn't wait to taste the special cake that had captured his imagination. Little did he know, the real surprise was yet to come. Billy sat at the dining table, his eyes fixed on the beautifully decorated cake in front of him. The golden brown cake was topped with a creamy layer of frosting, adorned with colorful sprinkles that glistened in the warm kitchen light. He picked up his fork, his heart racing with anticipation. "Go ahead, Billy," Grandma encouraged, her eyes twinkling with a mix of excitement and a hint of mystery. "Take a bite and tell me what you think." Billy carefully cut a small piece of the cake and brought it to his mouth. As he took his first bite, his eyes widened in surprise. The cake was moist and rich, with a sweetness that was both comforting and delightful. He chewed slowly, savoring the flavors. "It's delicious, Grandma," Billy exclaimed, his face breaking into a wide grin. "This is the best cake I've ever had." Grandma's face lit up with a warm, mysterious smile. "I'm glad you like it, my dear. But there's something special about this cake that you might not know." Billy's curiosity was piqued. "What do you mean, Grandma?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with intrigue. Grandma's smile grew even wider, but she didn't say anything more. Instead, she watched as Billy took another bite, his enjoyment evident in every bite he took. The kitchen was filled with the sound of Billy's happy munching and the gentle clinking of the fork against the plate. As Billy finished his slice, he looked up at Grandma with a satisfied sigh. "Can we make this cake again, Grandma? It's so yummy." Grandma nodded, her eyes still holding that mysterious glint. "Of course, we can, Billy. But remember, this cake has a secret ingredient that makes it so special." Billy's curiosity was now fully engaged. "What's the secret ingredient, Grandma?" he asked, leaning forward with eager anticipation. Grandma's smile remained enigmatic. "You'll find out soon enough, my dear. For now, let's enjoy the moment." Billy, though a bit frustrated by the lack of immediate answers, couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. He knew that Grandma had something up her sleeve, and he was determined to uncover the secret behind the delicious cake. Little did he know, the revelation was just around the corner. The next day, Billy was so excited about Grandma's special cake that he couldn't wait to share the news with his friend, Alex. Alex, a boy about Billy's age, was wearing a red shirt and shorts, and he was always up for a good adventure. "Alex, you won't believe what Grandma made," Billy exclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement as they sat on the swings at the park. Alex raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What did she make?" "Grandma made this amazing cake," Billy said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "It's the best cake I've ever had. And it's a secret recipe that's been in our family for generations." Alex's eyes widened. "Wow, that sounds awesome. Can I try it?" "Of course, you can," Billy said, his face breaking into a grin. "Grandma said we can have some more after lunch." When they returned to Billy's house, Grandma was already in the kitchen, preparing a fresh slice of the cake. Billy and Alex eagerly took their seats at the dining table, their eyes fixed on the beautifully decorated cake. "Here you go, boys," Grandma said, placing a slice in front of each of them. "Enjoy." Alex took a bite, his eyes widening in surprise. "This is really good, Billy. Your grandma is an amazing cook." Billy beamed with pride. "I know, right? It's the best cake ever." As Alex continued to eat, his fork suddenly paused midair. He looked at the cake with a puzzled expression. "Hey, Billy, do you see something green in here?" Billy's curiosity was piqued. "Green? What do you mean?" Alex pointed to a small piece of what looked like a leaf in his slice. "There's something green in the cake. It looks like a leaf." Billy's eyes widened in shock. He had never noticed anything green in the cake before. He took a closer look at his own slice and, to his surprise, saw a few small pieces of green mixed in. "Grandma," Billy called out, his voice tinged with confusion. "There's something green in the cake." Grandma, who had been watching from the kitchen, walked over to the table with a gentle smile. "Yes, Billy, there's something green in the cake. Can you guess what it is?" Billy's face scrunched up as he tried to think. Is it mint?" Grandma chuckled. "No, Billy. It's not mint. It's spinach." Billy's eyes widened in disbelief. "Spinach? But I thought you said it was a secret recipe." Grandma's smile grew warmer. "It is a secret recipe, Billy. But the secret is that I mixed vegetables into the cake. There's spinach, carrots, and pumpkin." Billy's face fell, his excitement turning to disappointment. "You put vegetables in the cake? But I thought it was just a regular cake." Alex, who had been listening with interest, chimed in. "That's pretty cool, Billy. I didn't even notice the vegetables. They don't taste yucky at all." But Billy was still sulking. "I don't like vegetables, Grandma. I thought you knew that." Grandma's smile softened, and she placed a hand on Billy's shoulder. "I know, Billy, but I wanted to show you that vegetables can be delicious and fun. And this cake is a way to make them a part of something you love." Billy looked at Grandma, his face a mix of confusion and hurt. "But you tricked me, Grandma. I thought it was just a regular cake." Grandma's eyes filled with a gentle sadness. "I'm sorry, Billy. I didn't mean to trick you. I just wanted to help you see that vegetables can be good for you and taste great too." Billy's disappointment was clear, and he refused to talk to Grandma for the rest of the afternoon. He felt betrayed, and the thought of vegetables in his favorite cake left a sour taste in his mouth. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would change his perspective on many things. As the afternoon wore on, the kitchen grew quiet. Billy sat on the living room sofa, his face turned away from Grandma, who was sitting at the small table, her hands resting on the edge. The gentle lighting of the room cast a soft shadow over her face, and her expression was one of deep sadness. She had never seen Billy so upset, and it broke her heart. Grandma's thoughts were a whirlwind of regret and concern. She had only wanted to help Billy see that vegetables could be enjoyable, but her well-intentioned plan had backfired. She wondered if she had overstepped, if she should have been more open from the beginning. The silence in the room was almost deafening, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of loneliness. Billy, for his part, was still sulking. He couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. He had trusted Grandma, and the thought that she had mixed vegetables into his favorite cake without telling him stung deeply. He stared at the wall, his mind racing with conflicting emotions. On one hand, he knew Grandma loved him and had only wanted what was best for him. On the other hand, he felt like his trust had been violated. As the hours passed, the tension in the room grew palpable. Grandma tried to engage Billy in conversation, but he remained silent, his face a mask of hurt and disappointment. She could see the pain in his eyes, and it tore at her heart. She decided to give him some space, hoping that time would help him come around. Finally, as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow through the windows, Grandma stood up and walked to the kitchen. She began to clean up, her movements slow and deliberate. The clinking of dishes and the soft hum of the dishwasher filled the room, but the silence between her and Billy remained unbroken. Billy watched from the living room, his heart aching. He could see the sadness in Grandma's eyes, and it made him feel guilty. He knew he was being unfair, but the hurt was still raw. He couldn't help but think about all the times Grandma had been there for him, the times she had cooked his favorite meals and read him bedtime stories. He felt a pang of regret for the way he had treated her. As the evening deepened, the warmth of the room seemed to envelop Billy, and he began to feel a sense of longing. He missed the easy camaraderie he shared with Grandma, the way they used to laugh and bake together. He realized that he had taken her love for granted, and the thought of losing that connection was unbearable. Finally, unable to bear the silence any longer, Billy stood up and walked to the kitchen. Grandma was standing by the sink, her back to him, her shoulders slightly slumped. Billy hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath and spoke. "Grandma," he said softly, his voice trembling slightly. Grandma turned around, her face a mix of surprise and hope. "Billy," she said, her voice equally soft. Billy took a step closer, his eyes downcast. "I'm sorry, Grandma. I didn't mean to be so mean. I know you only wanted to help me." Grandma's eyes filled with tears, and she opened her arms. "Oh, Billy," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm sorry too. I should have been more honest with you. I just wanted you to see that vegetables can be delicious and fun." Billy stepped into her embrace, and they hugged tightly. The warmth of the hug brought a sense of comfort and healing. "I know, Grandma," Billy said, his voice muffled against her shoulder. I'm still getting used to the idea." Grandma smiled, her heart swelling with love. "That's okay, my dear. We can take it one step at a time. How about we make another cake together? This time, we'll do it together, and you can help me add the vegetables." Billy's face broke into a small smile. "Really? I can help." "Of course, you can," Grandma said, her smile growing warmer. "And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see that vegetables can be a part of something you love." Billy nodded, feeling a sense of excitement and hope. "Okay, Grandma, let's do it." With renewed spirits, they began to gather the ingredients, and the kitchen once again filled with the warm, comforting aroma of a cake in the making. The tension had lifted, and the bond between Billy and Grandma felt stronger than ever. The kitchen was once again filled with the warm, comforting glow of the afternoon sun, casting a golden hue over the wooden table and the soft, pastel colors of the walls. Billy and Grandma stood side by side, their hands busy with the task of preparing the ingredients for the new cake. Billy, still wearing his green t-shirt and blue jeans, was more eager and engaged than he had been in days. His face was lit with a mix of curiosity and determination as he watched Grandma's every move. "Okay, Billy," Grandma said, her voice filled with warmth and encouragement. "Why don't you help me chop these carrots? We need them to be really small so they blend in with the cake batter." Billy nodded, his eyes shining with excitement. He picked up a small knife and a carrot, carefully following Grandma's instructions. "Like this?" he asked, holding up the knife and making a few tentative cuts. "Perfect, Billy," Grandma said, her smile wide and encouraging. "You're doing great. Just remember to keep your fingers safe and use a gentle rocking motion." Billy nodded, his focus intense as he continued to chop the carrot. He felt a sense of pride in his newfound skill, and the task of preparing the vegetables didn't seem so daunting anymore. As he worked, he couldn't help but feel a growing appreciation for the effort that went into making the cake. Once the carrots were chopped, Grandma showed Billy how to puree the pumpkin and mince the spinach. Billy watched intently, his curiosity piqued by the transformation of the vegetables. "It's amazing how they change," he said, his eyes wide with wonder. Grandma chuckled. "Yes, it is. And when we mix them into the cake batter, they'll add a lot of flavor and nutrition without changing the taste too much." Billy nodded, his enthusiasm growing. "I can't wait to see how it turns out." As they worked, the kitchen filled with the sounds of their laughter and the gentle clinking of dishes. Billy felt a sense of connection and joy, knowing that he was a part of something special. He and Grandma mixed the ingredients, carefully combining the flour, sugar, and eggs with the secret vegetable blend. The batter came together smoothly, and Billy couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in his contribution. "Can I help pour the batter into the pan, Grandma?" Billy asked, his eyes shining with eagerness. "Of course you can," Grandma said, handing him the mixing bowl. "Just be careful not to spill any." Billy carefully poured the batter into the cake pan, his movements steady and confident. He felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that he was an integral part of the process. As the cake went into the oven, the kitchen filled with the sweet, warm aroma of the baking treat. While they waited for the cake to bake, Billy and Grandma sat at the dining table, sipping on glasses of lemonade. Billy's mind was racing with thoughts of the cake, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. "Grandma, do you think the vegetables will make the cake taste different?" he asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. Grandma smiled. "They might add a little extra sweetness and moisture, but the overall taste should be just as delicious as the last time. And remember, the vegetables are there to make the cake healthier and more nutritious." Billy nodded, his curiosity piqued. "I'm starting to think maybe vegetables aren't so bad after all." Grandma's heart swelled with pride. "That's a great attitude, Billy. Every little step counts. And who knows, you might even start to enjoy vegetables on their own." Billy grinned, feeling a sense of excitement and hope. "Maybe you're right, Grandma. I'll give them another chance." As the cake finished baking and the kitchen filled with the delightful aroma, Billy and Grandma knew that this was more than just a new cake. It was a new beginning, a step towards a healthier and more adventurous approach to food. And most importantly, it was a symbol of the love and understanding that bound them together. The oven timer chimed, and Billy and Grandma exchanged excited glances. Grandma carefully opened the oven door, and the warm, sweet aroma of the cake filled the kitchen. The cake was a beautiful golden brown, and the steam rising from it was almost tangible. Billy's eyes widened in anticipation as Grandma took the cake out and placed it on a cooling rack. "Wow, Grandma, it looks amazing," Billy exclaimed, his face breaking into a wide grin. Grandma smiled warmly. "It does, doesn't it? But there's one more thing we can do to make it even more special." Billy's curiosity was piqued. "What's that, Grandma?" Grandma pulled out a small container of red food coloring and a piping bag. "Why don't we decorate the cake with a heart shape? It'll be a special touch for our family dinner tonight." Billy's eyes lit up. "A heart shape? That sounds so cool." Grandma handed Billy the piping bag. "Here, you can do it. Just be careful and take your time." Billy carefully squeezed the piping bag, his hands steady as he traced a heart shape on the top of the cake. The red icing formed a beautiful, intricate heart, and Billy couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. "There, how does it look?" Billy asked, his face beaming with excitement. Grandma's eyes filled with tears of joy. "It looks perfect, Billy. You did a wonderful job." As the cake cooled, the kitchen was filled with a warm, comforting atmosphere. Billy and Grandma sat at the table, their hands resting on the edge, and they shared a moment of quiet reflection. The heart-shaped cake was a symbol of their renewed bond and the love they shared. "Grandma, I'm really glad we made this cake together," Billy said, his voice filled with sincerity. "It's not just about the cake, you know? It's about us." Grandma's smile grew even warmer. "I know, my dear, and I'm so proud of you. You've come so far, and I'm grateful for every moment we spend together." Billy's heart swelled with love and gratitude. "Me too, Grandma. I love you." Grandma's eyes glistened with tears, and she reached out to squeeze Billy's hand. "I love you too, Billy. More than anything in the world." As they finished decorating the cake, the heart shape stood out as a beautiful and meaningful touch. It was a reminder of the love and care that went into every step of the baking process, and it symbolized the growing bond between Billy and Grandma. The dining table was set with care, the wooden surface adorned with a simple, elegant tablecloth. Plates, forks, and glasses were arranged neatly, and the heart-shaped cake sat in the center, a masterpiece of love and effort. The warm, golden light from the overhead lamp cast a cozy glow over the room, making everything feel inviting and comfortable. Billy's parents, dressed in simple, casual attire, his father in a striped shirt and his mother in a floral dress, entered the kitchen, their faces lighting up at the sight of the beautifully decorated cake. "Wow, Billy, Grandma, this looks amazing," Billy's mother exclaimed, her eyes wide with admiration.